Have you ever felt this way? You dream about success. You imagine a better life. You tell yourself that one day everything will change. But when the moment finally comes to do the work, you whisper the same four words: I will start tomorrow. If you have ever had big dreams but struggled with procrastination, then listen carefully. This story might change the way you see your life forever. Once upon a time, in a quiet town surrounded by rolling hills and gentle rivers, there lived a young man named Ethan. Ethan was 24 years old. He was intelligent, healthy, and full of ambition. He often told his friends with a confident smile, "One day I will own the biggest shop in this town. People will travel from far places just to buy from me. I will be successful. I will be respected." Everyone admired Ethan's confidence, but there was one problem. Ethan loved dreaming far more than doing. Every morning when shop owners were already opening their doors, Ethan was still asleep. When traders were busy counting their goods, Ethan sat outside talking about tomorrow. And when his mother asked him to help at the family stall, he always gave the same answer: "Later, I will do it later." Ethan had big plans, but his actions were always small. One afternoon, an old merchant who had known Ethan since childhood came to visit him. The man had spent his life building businesses in many towns and was respected for his wisdom. He walked over to where Ethan was sitting lazily beneath a shady tree and smiled. "Ethan," he said, "I hear you want to become the most successful trader in this town." Ethan nodded proudly. "Of course, just wait and see." Without another word, the old merchant reached into his leather bag and placed two small stones into Ethan's open hand. One stone was smooth and shiny, like polished silver. The other was rough and dark, like dried mud. "These are not ordinary stones," the merchant said quietly. "The shiny stone is the stone of discipline. Carry it every day and work with purpose, and it will lead you towards success." He then pointed to the darker one. "The dark stone is the stone of delay. Keep it close, and it will grow heavier and heavier until one day it crushes your dreams entirely." The old man gently closed Ethan's fingers around both stones and spoke softly, "The choice is yours." Ethan laughed. "Of course I will choose discipline," he said confidently. But the next morning, Ethan felt sleepy. "I will start tomorrow," he whispered. Days passed. Instead of carrying the shiny stone, Ethan kept the dark one in his pocket, and every time he delayed his work, the stone felt just a little heavier. Weeks later, Ethan finally decided to visit the marketplace. As he walked, he noticed something strange. The stone in his pocket had become so heavy that it slowed his every step. When he arrived at the market, he stopped and stared. The young men who once sat beside him, laughing and talking about the future, were now running busy, thriving shops. Their businesses had grown. Customers filled their stores from morning to evening. Ethan stood there in silence. For the first time in his life, something painful became clear. While he had been waiting for tomorrow, everyone else had been working today. The dark stone in his pocket suddenly felt like a mountain pressing down on his chest. That evening, Ethan sat alone at home and held the stone up to the fading light. He stared at it for a very long time. "I have been carrying the wrong thing," he whispered. The next morning, before the sun had fully risen, Ethan was already awake. He walked to the old merchant's house and quietly placed the dark stone on the table. Then, with steady hands, he picked up the shiny one. From that day forward, everything changed. Ethan began working every morning. He helped in the market, learned from experienced traders, and slowly, steadily built his own small stall. The work was difficult. Some days he failed. Some days he went to bed exhausted and uncertain, but he never carried the stone of delay again.
Years passed. Ethan eventually became one of the most respected merchants the town had ever known. People admired him not because of what he promised, but because of what he did every single day. And whenever a young dreamer came to him complaining about an uncertain future, Ethan would reach into his coat and place 2 small stones on the table. Your life depends on what you choose to carry. Dear listener, this story is not only about Ethan. Each of us carries 2 things in life at all times: discipline and delay. One builds your future slowly, quietly, faithfully. The other steals it from you just as quietly, one postponed hour at a time. So ask yourself one question today. What are you carrying? If this story spoke to something inside you, take one small step right now. Like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who has big dreams but keeps waiting for the right moment. Because the future belongs to those who start today.